I suppose there isn't
You
a
know?
live streams fail that someone can then clip that and put it on like LSF, and then suddenly you grow huge complaining about people not paying you for your content, right?
Exactly, yeah, because when I saw that clip on Twitch going out on Twitter going around about that one person, I was laughing. I was like, this is cam girls every day.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Minds of Media. My name is Blake Panasiewicz, and today's guest is a wonderful human being who I'm happy to have on the show. She has done some amazing things, including some amazing daring feats on a tightrope way up in the air. She's been involved with the adult entertainment industry, and she is one of my favorite just chatting streamers on the platform. Please let me introduce Quincy. Welcome to the show.
Hi Blake.
Hello.
I'm super excited to be here.
I know, it's exciting. This is my first time. I'm a little bit nervous, which is kind of interesting. So
I'm nervous too. I've never done like an interview on like Twitch like this, like a podcast online.
Yeah.
It's always been like IRL, so it's different. It should feel more like relaxed, but no, I'm still nervous.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Sweaty
So
hands.
we're gonna start it off easy. Okay, we're not gonna ask the super hard questions right away. So one of the things I actually don't really know about you is what you like to do in your free time, right? Because I know you're busy doing Twitch and doing other content related things. What do you like to do in your free time? Like, what does a lazy Sunday for Quincy look like?
I don't really have lazy Sundays. So for me, example, like just because I pretty much my own boss, I can take whatever day I have off. So usually I take Mondays off. That's what I usually do. But it just depends on how I'm feeling. Like if I wake up and I'm feeling like energetic and stuff, I will like stream. And sometimes if I'm feeling lazy, I'll still try and stream. And if I can't, then I'm just like, fuck it. So it could be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like there's no lazy. But if I like, on my lazy days, what I do is I just like relax. I like watch Netflix. But like to be honest, Blake, I don't really ever have like a day off. I'm always online. Do you know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah,
You feel that as well as a streamer?
I think I can get. I have to make sure to take time off. Otherwise I don't, and especially like Emily helps me a lot with that. She's like, hey, let's go do something, and it's like, you know what, I haven't done anything. I probably should do something that is a lot more productive. Otherwise I will literally just focus on anything that I can improve as a person. Do you ever get burnt out by that? It's gotta be. I know that I get drained.
I do get burnout. Yeah, I do, of course. But it's really hard because when I do get burnout and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like put my phone away. I'm not gonna do anything related to my work. I just can't. It drags me back. So for example, when I'm like, okay, guys, I'm not streaming today. I'm having an off day. I don't at the end. Like I don't know. It's weird because I get burnout, but then when I go away to like relax, I still like check my phone or I'm like, or it's more like in the brain. Like I'm constantly thinking of like new ideas. It just won't stop, you know? And that's what
For me,
causes my
it's like
insomnia.
if I'm not always working harder, especially on like some of these platforms, then I'm going to fall behind because it feels like it's such a cutthroat. It's not really cutthroat like everyone is like cutting at each other's throat, but it's cutthroat as in like it's really hard to kind of get noticed on just different platforms. I feel unless you're doing everything and anything that you possibly can do. And I think that's where I come from with a lot of it is like how do I figure out the next thing that I could be doing, whether that's learning Photoshop or learning like Adobe Creative stuff versus like doing YouTube and TikTok and all these other things. So
yeah,
like, that's a really hard. Have you always been this hardworking? Has this something that's kind of always been with you?
Yeah. I'm kind of a perfectionist. Like for me, it's like go big or go home. You know. And I guess with streaming, it's hard because, you know, like for me, it's like, oh, I have like so much of these ideas, but I always feel like something like holding me back. It's either like space or I need better equipment or, you know, the money. It's just, I don't know. I like to be perfectionist. I don't like to do things just to like, do them. Like if I do something, it's like, even though it's not the way I want it to be, but it's like, I'm working up to it, you know?
Yeah. So as a kid, what was that like, that perfectionism? Did that come out in like your schoolwork? Was that something that you were like, is it anything and everything, or is it like certain things that you're passionate about?
As a kid, I think it was probably the people around me. Everybody was a perfectionist.
Really?
You know, I come from I come from 8th generation of circus, and all my family are all like really hard workers, you know? And they also have the mentality of like go big, go home, you know, or anything you do is not good enough. So for example, like say an example, I remember as a kid, like when we would all like practice, you know, to like do whatever anyone was doing. So for example, for me, it would have been like the trapeze or like contortion or whatever. Like you would do something, you would work so hard, yeah, and you'd go and show your parents, and you know, you expect your parents to be like, oh, I'm so proud of you, yay, like you know, when I was in school, I would see kids do little shitty cartwheels, and their parents would be like, oh, you're amazing, where like I got like, it was okay, could be better, you know.
That sounds like it would be rough sometimes. Like this like I could see it growing you as a person, but I could also see it being kind of terrible, like not getting that validation unless you were the utmost perfection.
It's hard. It is hard. And it is to this day, it's still hard. Like sometimes, you know, like I'm like, oh look, I did this and that. And my parents are like, yeah, cool. Could be better. But it is hard. It is. I will tell you something, like only recently I've been hearing like my parents say like the words "I'm proud of you," because I guess every kid wants to hear that, right, from their parents or from their peers. But it did push me to be stronger, you know, push me to be stronger, to seek better, and to be who I am today. Because I think without that like tough love, like I'm not saying my parents didn't give me love, like my parents were amazing and they are still great, but I feel like if I didn't have that tough love and that push, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be the hardworking person. I would just be like, you know,
fair,
that was good enough.
Do you remember the first time that they said that they were proud of you? Do you remember that moment? Because I imagine it not happening that often. The first time it does happen must be something that's pretty special.
I think with my mom, it was a few months ago. I think it was just before Christmas. So I'm 27 now.
Do you remember what you told her or led up to it?
I think we were shopping, and you know, I was talking to her about like, you know, like the camming industry and what I have planned, and like I was just telling her like how stressed out I am because I want to do so much, but I want to do it quickly, you know. And my mom was saying like, you know, these things take time, and I'm like, I have a feeling I don't have time, you know, like I want to do it now, and I'm very impatient. And she said something like, you know, you're doing very well, and I'm very proud of you, what you've achieved so far. It was along those lines, you know. So I was just like, you know, I was shocked. I was held back. I think it took me like a few moments to like register it. And then I just kind of like hugged her, and I was like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, you know. So yeah, and with my dad, I think it was over the phone. I think because my dad works in Dubai at the moment, so I think it was over the phone. Yeah, and he was just like, oh yeah, just to let you know I'm proud of you. Because like my dad doesn't really know. Well, I think he knows what I do, but we don't talk about it. So I think we were on the phone, and he just says to me like, I'm proud of you no matter what you do. Something like that, you know. Oh. He slid it in there.
So a lot of times I would say that you kind of the best way to put it is sometimes you come across crash or kind of harsh. I like harsh towards people, I think sometimes, where you don't really take shit from people, it seems like. Are you an emotional person? Are you someone who gets really emotional sometimes? Because I imagine you are. I think that you put up a great thing towards people, but I think that after that moment, I could see you like crying.
Yeah, I am an emotional person for sure. Yeah. I'm strong. I'm strong-skinned. I can take a lot of shit, but I can't get emotional, of course. I think the reason I get so emotional sometimes is because I bottle up a lot of things. So I will like hold it in, especially like, you know, like I was saying, as a streamer, every day you read like someone in chat being an asshole to you, or, you know, like you're around toxic people or whatever the fuck. And I bottle it up so much. instead of just being like, you know what, that really hurt me, or go for a little cry. I bottle up so much, and then one day I just like explode, and I have like, that's when I probably have like one of my lazy days and just cry and watch Netflix. But yeah, I do get emotional.
I want to hug you like through the camera right now. I'm like, Quincy, it's okay.
It's okay. It's good to cry though. It's good to have a cry. Let me tell you something. Sometimes, like, I don't know if you ever feel like this, but I'm sitting here sometimes and I'm just like, you know what? I need a good ass cry. And I will go and watch sad movies on purpose just to like cry for hours. And then I'll feel better.
I feel like I do this. Okay, don't judge me on this, okay? But I do this with anime sometimes when I'm watching anime with Emily. Sometimes she'll just look over and she'll see me crying and she'll be like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. It's so emotional right now.
Do you? Okay, so I cry really easily at movies and TV shows. Do you feel like you cry because you can relate to the situation, or just because you feel bad for like what is happening?
I can relate. It's an empathy thing. It's like I can almost imagine myself in that situation if I try hard enough, and I can kind of feel what it would feel like. So I think that's where I come from with me crying sometimes. So. Because I will cry if it's a happy moment sometimes. Like, there's, like, so much happiness going on. It doesn't happen for, like, everything. But, like, one of the movies that sticks out in my mind that is, like, one of the first movies that I literally bawled for, like, hours afterwards was, like, Armageddon, which is a really old Bruce Willis movie where they go up on a meteor and he dies. And I remember crying for, like, hours after that movie.
I remember watching that as a kid, and I remember crying, and I remember getting really angry at the fact that she, like, I don't know, if I was the girl situation, I would have been like, right, bye boyfriend. I would have saved my dad.
Yeah.
I would have. Yeah, I was really pissed off when it came down. It was like Ben Affleck. I was like, what the fuck? I was like crying and really angry. I was like, no, it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah, that's completely. I think it's reasonable. I think it's good to cry. I think more people should probably cry in the world, to be honest. One of the things I don't like is whenever someone's crying, people always say it's okay, right? You don't need to cry, and I think that's the wrong response. I think the correct response is, you know what? It's okay. Let it all out. You can cry here, and it's okay to cry here. And I feel like not enough people.
Yeah,
do that.
That is true. I think I say that as well, though. I think I'm guilty of being like, oh, don't cry, because it's like the first thing that comes out of your mouth. You know, you're like, oh, if you find it hard to like resonate where that person's coming from, you'd be like, oh, you know, don't cry and stuff like that. But yeah, I think people should be like, yeah, cry, you know, let it out, or be that shoulder to cry on, or cry with them. I cry with my friends. When my friends cry, I just cry with them. It makes them feel better.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, though. So you mentioned that you grew up in a circus family, and I couldn't remember if it was a circus family or not. What does it mean when you say a circus family? Like they ran the entire circus?
Okay, so for example, like I'm 8th generation. Yeah. And they didn't like run the circus. Like some of my family members have their own shows, some don't, some travel the world and, you know, work in different shows. So for example, with me, I was born in London, and my parents, my mom was Irish, she's Irish, and my dad's Colombian. And how they met was they come from 2 separate circus families. So like, for example, my dad is also like generations, and my mom as well. And they met, and then I was born into it. So like they were working together, and then they, you know, left together. And I should be more detailed.
Maybe a little bit.
But yeah, so okay. So for example, my mom is probably she's also like, her dad and mom did circus, their mom and dad did circus, same with my father. And my father, he was born in Colombia, and he did a wire act. So he did a high wire act, tightrope, whatever you want to call it. And then he traveled to Ireland for the first time ever. On a contract, and he started working on my mom's show, which was like her family show. So like her mom and dad run it with other people, and they met there. So they met there, and they fell in love, and they kind of like ran away together to England to work. So, you know, my mom
was the family okay with that? Was the family okay with them running away to London?
I think so. I guess probably my granddad and grandma were a bit like, you know, like taking our daughter away. But they were fine. So yeah, they moved to England, they got married, and then out pops me, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was born into it, you know, and I grew up all my life in the circus. So that's all I knew for a very long time, you know. I was born around it. I was living in it.
What are some unique things about circus life? Because I know that I've done, and I've seen like carnivals and stuff, right, where you might have a circus kind of coming in or something like that. But they all seem very close, and just like those groups of people tend to all be very tight knit. I would say. I think was that true for you and like your circus life? Like everyone is really tight knit and a family when they're involved in the circus.
There is the feeling of like, because at the end of the day, you know, you live with these people, you eat with these people, you work with these people. So it can be tight knit, but it's not always everyone's a big happy family. You know, everyone has that misconception of like circus people be like this big happy family and everyone is like, no. There's a lot of drama as well. You know, sometimes you're going to be working with people who you, after a while, you fucking despise, you know? And it just depends. It depends. Like, for example, like, so every year, the performances are different, you know? So this year would be these people. The next year, they would contract other people. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's tight-knit as a way as, like, you always have someone there to help you.
Yeah.
You know, so if you have any situation, you just open your door and be like, oh my God, help me. Or like, you know, if something happens with your equipment, someone's there to help you. So yeah, it's tight knit like that, but not everyone gets along. It's like anywhere in the world, you know, you're going to have people you get along with and people you don't.
So for the circus life, do each of the families kind of has specialties? Like that's their thing that they're really, really good at? I know you did wire work, right? Like that was a big thing that your family did?
My family did it. So my dad did it with my brothers. So they did the high wire and stuff. Like I tried it. Not that it wasn't my thing. I just wasn't good at it. Like I don't have balance for shit. Like my dad tried to teach me, and also my heart wasn't in it. I think I was doing it more to like impress my dad, but I did not have good balance. So one day my dad just told me, he was like, come down for a second. And I thought he was gonna like smack me or something because I did something wrong. And he was like, you don't like this, do you? And I was like, you know, you get scared and you're like, oh shit, like, oh, this. I was just like, no, I love it. And he was like, shame, because you're shit, you got bad balance, do something else. And I was like, yeah, right, I'm terrible, like my feet are all crooked, I can't do this. So they specialize on that. And my mom did a single trapeze. She's solo trapeze, so it's kind of like flying trapeze but static on your own. Mm-hmm. And so for example, like, so my dad specialized more in high wire, but when he was younger he did a lot of different things. So did my mom. And I specialize on like flying trapeze. That was my thing, like aerial work. But it depends. Some people in circus, they will just do one act and like just work with that. Or some people will do multiple things. I know people who can do 4 or 5 different things, you know. It just depends on what you kind of like fall in love with. And I think with circus, you do a lot of different things. So like as a kid, you see all these different acts and you try it out, you know, and you could probably master a few of them. And then you go like, okay, that's the juggling. Juggling's what I want to like continue with. So
kind of looking at the circus, is it like crazy too? Is there like crazy parties and stuff that happen with circus life? Because
it can be. It depends where you're working and the company as well. It depends like the people around you. Like some years I would work on the show and the company would be boring. Nobody would want to do anything. And some years new people will come in. They're all young and crazy and they want to party, you know. So it just depends. But yeah, they can parties, of course. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you have a bunch of brothers. What does your family kind of look like? Like you have your dad, you had your mom, or have your mom, and then how many brothers do you have?
I have 3 brothers.
3 brothers. Do you have any sisters?
No. I'm the only girl.
Are you grateful about that? Are you grateful there wasn't any other sister? Or do you wish there would have been other sisters?
No. You know what? No, not really, because I grew up with my cousins as well who were girls, and we grew up really close, so it kind of felt like I had sisters. So, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Water.
No, you're good. You're good. So one of the things I had saw on your stream is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but your parents split up when you were, what, 8, I think you said?
No, I was 18.
Oh, 18? Your parents split up when you were
Yeah.
18. Wow, that's really old. What led up to that? What was that like? My parents divorced when I was right around 6, and it sucked. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, sorry.
You're good.
I don't know. Growing up, I never really saw my parents being really lovey-dovey with each other, you know? When I finally left home, I did have a feeling it probably would have happened because not that they would fight a lot, but I don't know. I feel like they didn't really have much in common, to be honest, you know? My mom didn't really like the same things that my dad did and stuff like that. So they split up mostly because, why is my voice crackling? Hello, testing voice. You know, all right, let's get deep then. So pretty much like I always saw like my parents weren't like this like super lovey-dovey and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. And when I left at 18, I kind of felt that might happen, that they might like split up. I just didn't know how. And then my mom had to go away for a while because my granddad was very ill. So she went over and she went to like, you know, look after my granddad and my grandma. And my dad was fine with that. You know, we were working in Brazil at the time. My mom was back home in Ireland looking after them. And sadly, my granddad passed away. And then my mom stayed an extra few months in Ireland because she was like, look, I got to look after my mom now because she's alone and all this kind of stuff like that. And then after, around Christmas time, because my granddad passed away in June. So around Christmas time, my dad, but by then I had already gone back to Europe. And I spent Christmas with some cousins because I was upset about my granddad. And I just was living the life of, you know, a party girl, not really giving a shit what was going on. And my dad was just like, oh, can you like, please, like to my mom, can you please come home for Christmas? I miss you. I love you, blah, 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 you know, all this bullshit. And my mom was like, okay, I'll come over for Christmas. So my mom flies all the way for Christmas. And now like, this is my dad, like telling my mom to come over. Like he's saying like, I miss you. Like you've been gone for so long. Just come over for Christmas and you can fly back, look after your mom and blah, blah, blah. So my mom flies over. She arrives the day before Christmas Eve. And then she tells me that my dad is all weird, you know, like she arrived, he doesn't really greet her. Like, you know, when you don't see your wife for so long, you would hug her, right? And be like, oh, like, hello, mwah, like, so sorry about your dad. And, you know, what any fucking person would do. And he was very distant, you know, and she was weird. She was like, oh, this is really weird, whatever. So one day they're at the hotel room and my dad's like, I got to pop to the shops. Like, do you need anything? And my mom's like, no, I'm cool. I'll stay here. And my mom was telling me that he left his computer open. And my mom, like, she's not like super techie or anything. And she could just hear like the notifications going like crazy, like beep, 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 you know? And she wasn't looking at it, she told me. She's like, she just ignored the notifications. But she then went on Facebook. He had left his Facebook open. She had went on Facebook to see... you know, she wanted to go on her Facebook to message me. And then when she did, she like, you can see the messages, like it just pops up, you know. And then she was seeing all these messages from this woman, you know, and from a Brazilian woman saying like, ai, mi amor, como está você? And all this stuff, you know. And she was like, this is a bit weird. So my dad comes back and my mom's like, yo, who's this girl who's calling you my love? And then my dad goes into like a frantic mode of like, no, she's just a friend, I promise, and stuff like that. And my mom's like, friends don't write to each other like that. That's not a friend. That's more than a friend. And my dad was like, he was like, what's the word? Denying it all the time. He was like, no, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then after he just broke down, he was like, yeah, I've like been having an affair. And my mom's like, what the fuck? Then like, why did you tell me to come all the way here then? Like, why did you beg me for months to come over for Christmas Eve and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, I don't know. I just wanted to see if it would like work out. And then my mom was like, you're a piece of shit. Grabbed her bags. Christmas Day, she calls me. I answer the phone. I'm like, hey, mom, what's up? Like, how you doing? How's dad? And stuff like that. And she's fucking in tears. And she's like, me and your dad broke up. I'm actually at London Airport. I'm heading home. And I was just like, holy shit, you know? So they broke up on Christmas Day, pretty much.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And I was so angry at my dad for months. And I was more angry of the way he like went around by doing things, you know? Like, just why did you just like leave my mom at home and just being like, yo, like, you know, why make her travel all the way to fucking Brazil for that, you know? Yeah. So then because of that, I fucking hated Christmas for months. Like I couldn't do Christmas.
That's fair. I don't like Christmas very much either. Even till this day, like it's gotten better over the last few years, I would say. I think a lot of the things that I've improved on is because of Emily, to be honest. But I used to hate Christmas because when my parents split, my dad was really broke and my mom was very, very wealthy. In comparison, and so she used to try to buy me out on Christmas and like try to show how much more she could do, which sounds like it might be a cool thing, but after a while it kind of just got annoying. And then when I moved to live with my dad, I had a lot of resentment for that. Like, wow, like you always just tried to buy me, you didn't actually try to like take care of me or anything like that. So I used to hate Christmas for a long time. And even still, like, there's still part of me that's like, I like Thanksgiving significantly better than Christmas because I just like to get together and eat food with people.
I've only started to like get into the Christmas spirit the last 2 years. Does it still make me sad? It does, but it's not as it used to be. Like, so when my parents split up, the next year I spent Christmas with my ex and his parents, and his parents are actually split up for ages, but they both live like near each other, so like they have a good kind of friendship. So when like Christmas comes around or birthday, he has both his parents. And I remember like it was Christmas and I went and spent it with him and his mom and dad and stuff. And I remember I was so fucking salty, Blake. I was so salty because I was like, why the fuck can you have both of your parents for Christmas? Like, I am never going to have that ever again, you know? And I was so salty. I was sitting there and I remember I got presents and I was like, when we opened all the presents, we ate the food, I got up and I was like, I'm going to go. And then they were like, well, it was really rude of me. I was a fucking cunt. And my ex for the time was like, what do you mean? Like, we're still going to like hang out and play games. And I'm like, oh, you know, I feel sick. I'm going to go. So I left and I spent all the rest of Christmas just bawling my fucking eyes out because just the fact I was just like so angry. I was like, why can his parents, they like been split up for 10 years, but they can still hang out and fucking have Christmases together. And I was just like, it was like saltiness and jealousy and anger. And I was like, I am never going to have that. And even to this day, after like 8 years, I'm like, I am never going to have a Christmas where I can have my mom and dad in the same room. I'm never going to have a birthday where I'm going to have my mom and dad in the same room. It's just never going to happen. Yeah. So, oh my God, yeah. And I fucking hated Christmas forever. Like every time Christmas came around, I just got drunk. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't want to spend Christmas with anybody. I just usually just went off and did my own thing. Which was really annoying because I actually really like Christmas. It was just the day and the memories and like the trauma. So the last 2 years since I moved into my place, I was saying, like, even my mom is not a big fan of Christmas. And I was saying, like, Mom, look, I really want to like make Christmas like good again, you know, like even though it's just me and you. So we did it last year and then we did it again this year. And she was even saying to me like how she's starting to like warm up to Christmas, even though her mom passed away only 2 years ago. Jesus. So it sucks, you know, but every time it's Christmas, I make effort, you know, and I just make the tree and try and make everything, you know, feel nice again, which is she appreciates as well because, you know, it's been kind of a rough few years for her. Like my mom's been through like sometimes I say to myself like, fuck, I've been through so much, you know, like I can't believe I'm still standing, you know. I'm like, I'm wounded but I'm still standing. And I look at my mom and I think she's like a big inspiration for me because she's been through like the like not divorce, like a fucking breakup with my dad, like losing her dad, losing her mom, and just like I couldn't, like, sometimes I think about like one day I'm gonna have to go through what my mom has been gone through, you know, and I hope I'm as strong as her. But yeah.
I mean,
so.
I hope you don't have to go through as much as your mom went through personally. So it sounds like it's been kind of a hellish ride.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of those people that I start thinking about things and I start panicking. Like, I start thinking like, fuck, one day my mom and dad are not going to be here no more, you know? And then I start like, I know it's a horrible thing to think, but I think about it, you know?
As we get older, like as 30s have approached for me, I've been like, how much longer do my parents have? Right? Like, because my dad is actually relatively young. He's only 20 years older than me. And I'm getting to 30, which means he's getting close to 50. And I'm like, how much more is left, right? Like, time flies.
Oh, they still got that. My dad is 67. And my mom is 55, 56 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, like I've noticed that my dad has aged. The last 2 years, I've seen him age. Where he's always looked the same to me, you know? Like he looks good for his age. He's always looked the same to me. But in the last 2 years, I've looked at him and he's, you know, he's getting old, you know? You can see it. He's, you know, he's transitioning now into an elder. You know, even at 67, like you can see he's getting more hunchback, he's getting more wrinkles, that more like tired look, more gray hairs. And so I'm seeing him transition to an elder, and it's like, holy shit, you know? It's weird. It's like, I could never imagine my parents looking like my granny and grandma, where like my granny and grandma always looked old to me, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the hardest things as a child is seeing your parents transition into what you've always seen them as, into elders, you know? Yeah, so I'm starting to see that on my dad, and that's like, it's starting to, you know, get into me.
Close to home. Yeah. So looking at school growing up, what kind of student were you growing up?
Straight A's, perfectionist.
Were you really? Like I don't know if I believe you.
I was average. I wasn't that great. I was, you know, I had subjects that I was good at. I had subjects that I was terrible at. Yeah. But I did school, and then I did a lot of homeschooling. Because I traveled around so much.
That makes sense.
When I was younger, there was this really horrible, really stupid school system they had for traveling kids in England back in the day. And so pretty much like with the circuses that my parents would work with, they would change location every week or every 2 weeks. And what they would do is they would put me into a different school every week.
Oh.
And it was just the most stupidest thing. But at the end of the day, like my mom had to put me into school because, you know, like if you don't put your kids into school, you get fined and blah, blah, blah. So my mom, every time we would arrive to a new place, my mom at nighttime would go and find the school. She'd bring me there the next day. Like I had uniforms for days, you know. And it was horrible because it was like, you know, I get into school, I settle in, and then it's like, okay, I'm off again. Or I get to meet these people and I'm off again. And then when you go to a different school every week, they've already started their projects, you know? Yeah. So you go in and they'd be like, oh, Quincy, just, we've already started this. So just go in the back and read your book. And next week, Monday, you can start the project we're going to do. And I'll be like, well, who gives a fuck? I ain't going to be here anyway. You know, I didn't learn shit. And I remember like, I used to tell my mom, I'd be like, Mom, I ain't learning anything. And she's like, yeah, this is a terrible system. Like, we need to find a new way. So my mom would like contact like the agencies and stuff and be like, this, like, there has to be a different way. Because before they used to send out like teachers and then they stopped it for some reason. So then most of my homeschooling came from my mom. Like I learned my ABCs, how to count everything from my mom.
Yeah.
And then going to school every week was hard because, you know, I would get bullied because I was the new girl all the time. And, you know, especially when the teacher would introduce you, they'd be like, oh, look, here's Quincy. And guys, you cannot believe she's from the circus. And I would be like, no, God, no, do not say that.
Yeah, because, you know, circus for adults means way different than circus for kids. Because circus for kids, they're just going to like rag on you for it, probably, I would imagine.
Well, I I had a lot of people who were really like interested, you know, they'd ask me the same fucking questions every week, like, oh, how do you do this? And do you speak languages? How do I say fuck you in Spanish and all this stuff? And it was cool, but you're doing it every week and it just gets fucking tiring. And then you'd always get the usual bully where like they'd be like, oh, you're a circus freak, you know, and then I would be like, I actually handled it quite well. Like if they would call me a circus freak, I would like do weird shapes and movements of my body and be like, yes, I am a circus freak, and boo. Like that's what I would do as a kid. But then it got to a point where like I remember every time I go to a new school, and I'd go into the headmistress office and I'd be like, I'll be like to the teachers, can you do me a favor? And they'd be like, yeah. I was like, can you just tell them that I am not from circus? And they're like, what? They're like, but it's so cool. I'm like, nope. I was like, just say that I'm a new kid and then I'm not here for a week and then I'll just disappear. And that's what I did for a long time, just because I just couldn't take any more of the same questions. And then it got to a point where I was really far behind in all the other kids because I wasn't learning jack shit.
Yeah.
You know, so and then we figured out a way to do homeschooling, and then I had a teacher come out 3 times a week, spend like 2 to 3 hours with me, and then at the end of the year, when I'd go back to school for the winter, I was like way ahead of everybody.
Oh, really?
Because I had that one-on-one time. Yeah, because in the class you're like sharing, you know, and stuff like that, so it's more like slow paced. Where like with me, it was like an intense 2 hours, 3-4 times a week. So when I'd go back to like winter, like go back to school for the winter, I would be way ahead. I'd be like, oh yeah, done this. Oh yeah, done this, you know? So it was great, you know? So I wasn't a bad student after like I was doing a one-on-one. The only thing I think I was really bad at was like maths. I sucked at maths. Even if the one-on-one, like it just would not go in my brain. My brain just didn't want to register. And that's the thing of like, when I'm not interested in something, Blake, my brain does not give a shit. Like if I'm trying to learn something that I have no interest in, my brain, like I start reading and my brain be like, nope. Stop thinking about something else. So yeah, I think I was a good student. I wasn't terrible. What made me a good student was like the one-on-one like tutoring, of course, because I just wasn't learning.
I have a question for you. Like with the bullies and stuff, did you ever get into a lot of fights? Because you seem like you could scrap. You seem like a scrap. You grew up with multiple brothers, right? And you grew up in this kind of, I would say, harder lifestyle of like perfection, right? I could see it. Did you get into scraps and stuff like that?
When I was younger, no. I got into one fight only. When I was, how old was I? 15. It's when I was like the second year of high school, and like even though I was kind of tough as a kid, I was very like innocent, you know. I wasn't like the way I am now. Like I wouldn't be able to stick up to myself like I used to be. Like when I went to high school, it was fucking horrible. Like I would hide in the toilets for weeks because I had girls threatening that they wanted to beat the shit out of me. Girls would pull my hair. I was bullied quite a lot in high school. And then one day, I remember I was just saying to my friend, like, I'm tired of like hiding in the bathroom after school. So I just grabbed her, we went out, and there was this bunch of girls. I remember like my school was here, you'd cross the road and there was like a brick wall. And there was like a little alleyway where we would all go smoke cigarettes, you know? And there was a bunch of girls there, and there was all the girls who wanted to like beat the shit out of me. I don't know why they wanted to. I was a very quiet girl. I would always just be in the corner, stick to myself. So I walked out and they were like, oh, look at this, blah, 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 whatever. And I just walked up to her, grabbed her hair. I remember she had a ponytail. So I just grabbed her ponytail and just slammed her face against the wall. And fucking broke her nose. I could just hear the crack. And I remember like letting go of her, and she turned around and her fucking face was just squashed up and the blood. And the first thing I thought was like, run. Because all these other girls are going to beat the shit out of me now. So I grabbed my friend and we fucking legged it. I'm we ran for like ever. And she was like, stop running, like it's good. And I was just like, no, I'm gonna get my ass beat. And then when I went to school, I think we had like a 1 week vacation or something. I went back to school, and I remember like the girl who I broke her nose walked into my class, and I was shitting bricks. Okay, I was like, this is it. She's gonna come to murder me. Oh my God, she's gonna get all the fucking chavs on me. She walked past me. This is the weirdest thing, and I still don't get this mentality. She walked past me and she went, all right. Like,
what the fuck is wrong with people?
Exactly. Like, and then all the girls who were bullying me were nice to me. Like, if they had some sort of respect for me now or something. The girl who I broke her nose walked past and was like, all right. Well, like, England, like, all right means like, you're good. You're all right. Yeah. And she just and then she would talk to me once in a while, and I would be like, what the fuck? Like, am I like, did I imagine breaking your nose or something? Like, did we go out and have a peace treaty or something? Like, I was just like mind blown. And my friend was like, yeah, that's what they do. They want to see how far you can go. And then you gain respect. And I'm just like, what? So what? Torture me for months, then I break your nose, and then now I have respect? Like, yeah. I don't get it. Like, I was like, it's still to this day when I tell the story, I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
no idea.
Kids are brutal. I got bullied a lot.
Kids are fucking mean, dude.
I hated it. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, high school was so much fun." I hated everything about going to school until I was a junior and I switched schools to a different school. Where the first person who came up to me and was like, I think he was just joking. But what I remember he said some sort of joke to me, and I said, listen, I don't want to deal with your fucking shit. If you want to go after school, I will beat your fucking face in, or you can just leave me the fuck alone. And like, no one talked to me after that. I was like, good, I can deal with this. I'm okay with not getting picked on as long as people leave me alone.
Ooh, now you look like the bad kid who came to school.
That was kind of what happened, but it kind of sucked because the school I went to was actually a really good school and people were fairly nice.
Yeah.
So like I kind of like ostracized myself from all of these people for a long time until I slowly got like reintegrated. But it sucked actually. So, oh God.
Yeah, I liked college better.
College was fun.
College was just like way better. You still have bullies in college though. I didn't believe it. I was shocked. When I went to college, I was like, finally, adults. And then you'd still have people fuck around in class, not pay attention. I remember one time when I was in business class, there was like a bunch of these like chavs. And they were messing around. The teacher was getting aggravated. And I remember I just fucking slammed the desk. And I was like, are you fucking 5 years old? What the fuck are you doing here, dude? Like, we're fucking adults getting a fucking degree. Get your fucking ass out of here. And they were like, just looked at me. And I was like, get the fuck out. And they like walked out. And the teacher was like, thank you. And I was just like, no, I'm fucking sick of this. Like, we're not fucking high school no more. Like, if you don't want to be here, don't fucking be here. Like, college isn't like, you're not forced to go to college, darling. No. Like, oh yeah, because in England they give you benefits if you go to college. Now I remember. Sorry. Oh well. That's probably why you were here.
But it happens in the States too, and we get charged a massive amount of debt. So so I mean, take that for what it is. So one of the things I was going to ask you is, you mentioned that you ended up switching schools so much. Were you ever able to build any connections with people? Because it sounds like it would be really hard if you're literally leaving schools every single week.
No, not really. There was probably 1 or 2 girls I kept in contact with over the years. I kept in contact with them for years, but I think I lost contact with them recently just because, everyone has different lives. Yeah. And most of the girls from my high school all have children now, And, sometimes like I have a bunch of them people on Facebook, you like their photos, congratulate them on their 3rd child or whatever. But, I think people just grow up and you have different lifestyles. Like, I feel like if I were to contact all these people I went to school with, I wouldn't have much in common with them.
Yeah.
Just because our lifestyles are so different, I'd be like, oh, hi, nice to see you again. But then, so no, not really. There's probably like maybe 2 people that I still keep in contact with. But
Did it
yeah, it
ever
was really
lead
hard.
to socialize it? I mean, so you have this weird dynamic, right? You have this school dynamic where you're literally leaving school every week, but you have this other dynamic where you have to perform in front of an audience, right? So were you able to still like socialize with people? Was that something you've always kind of been good at? Because every time I've seen you, I don't know if it's the entertainer in you that is like really social and able to just socially talk, or if it's a skill you've built up. Like, is socializing something you've always been good at, or is it something that you struggle with?
No, it's something that I have gained via streaming and going to events and talking to people. Because before I used to be quite nervous. Like when I used to go to parties, I would talk to people, but I would like the build up of tension, like, oh God, like, like I have to talk to someone. Like I always said, I remember like when I would do some events, when I go like to industry events, they would ask me to talk. And I'd be like, oh, I can't do that. I'm too nervous. Like I have no problem performing in front of people. Like I could go and perform in front of thousands of people and I will not get nervous. I'll get a little bit nervous, a little bit of stage fright. Everybody gets that. But once I go on stage, I'm fine. But like talking is so different to performing,
Yeah.
So I've gained that skill. And very recently, Blake, like just the last few years, I've been able to, and I'm still not good at talking. I get very mixed up and jumbled with my words. Like for example, like even in this interview right now, like in my head, I'm saying, oh, okay, I'm going to answer him like this. And it's like perfect. And I open my mouth and it just sounds like blah, 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 blah.
Well, if it makes you feel better, you've been doing really well. So you're doing well.
Yeah. I would love to like go to like a class where they would teach you to speak better, because I love doing like interviews and like doing like seminars and stuff like that. But I do get very like now, because I think in Italian. I know it's really weird, but for some reason I always think and dream in Italian. Oh, so when I'm even though English is my first language and I speak it more than any other language, I'm constantly thinking Italian. So sometimes when I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh, Italian, and then I would start. Sometimes you probably will notice it. Like, especially when I'm streaming, I will just say random words in Italian or Spanish, because it's just what's in my brain. And I just open and it's just like, oh shit, wait, back to English. But going back to your question, yeah, like it's only a skill I've built up recently and I'm still working on it. And I think streaming and constantly talking to people, and a podcast as well that I do. Before it was just me talking to chat, where now it's like me doing podcasts and talking to people on Discord and stuff like that. So it's a skill I've built recently and I'm still working on, for sure.
Okay. So do you think that primarily had to do with the fact that you were switching school all the time and you weren't really ever able to build up like these social connections?
Probably. Most likely, yeah. I wasn't never lonely. I was always in like an environment with around a lot of people. But yeah, maybe like the skill of like talking to new people and putting myself out there. Maybe, yeah, it was probably part of it. Yeah.
So growing up, you did this circus, but you mentioned you went to college. So was there a point where you had to decide between doing the circus or going to college, or was it always just kind of, oh, you're going to college?
I left circus when I was 17, 18. I decided to leave it.
What was the story behind that? What's the story behind, because that's a huge thing, right? Like you've been doing this for since you were born, you've been in the circus. The decision to just one day be like, later, it's gotta have something more to it. I think I was in the time of my life where I was very confused and I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm very like impulsive with my decisions. Like one day I'll be like, oh, I want to do this. And then next day I'll be like, you know what? I want to be a surfer. I'm very impulsive. So I think I was just sitting and I was having breakfast, and I was in Brazil at the time and I was having breakfast with my dad. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to college. And I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to college. Like, I want to get a degree in this and that before I get too old. And he was just like looking at me like, oh God, here she goes with her, like her ideas. And I'm like, nah, for real. Like, I'm going to go, like, I'm going to do it. So he was like, okay, and supportive. And I just grabbed my bag, saved some money, and I just left and stayed with some family. And I went to college and just did it. And
And then after I finished college, I had fell in love and I went to live in Italy for a long time.
Okay,
And
before we get to that story, let's
Okay.
backtrack a little bit. Let's not jump too far ahead here. So what did you study at college, and what made you pick that?
What did I study? I studied business administration and media.
Okay, why? What was the thrill?
Why? I don't know. I just felt like business, because like with the degree of business, you can like, it's so many doors,
Yeah.
you know, like so many pathways you can go. Media, because I always had an interest on streaming, making videos. So I just thought that would help me a little bit. And yeah, and there were the two kind of more interesting subjects they had. Other was like science. I'm like, ugh, you know, things I had like zero interest in. I have interest in science now. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, like back in the day, I was just like, yeah, these two subjects are like what I want to do.
Okay. So what was college like for you? Because you mentioned you had some fun. Actually, before we answer that, I want to jump back one other thing. Okay. Because this is kind of an important question before we lead into college. One of the things that you've mentioned is that a lot of times when trauma has happened, it seems that you kind of resort to like drinking a lot or like spending your days doing that. Is that a common thing? At least the couple examples you've given me. So that is an important question before we get to college. Oh, hang on. You're breaking up. This is unfortunate. Hello? Hello? Test, test. Guys, I'm sorry. This is happening. We'll ask. Okay, hang on, guys. Hang on a second. There we go. You were breaking up. You got to start that question over again.
Oh, okay. So usually, yeah, like every time I had like a problem or anything that made me feel like sad, or anytime something bad happened, I would always like end in like probably going on benders. You know, I would travel, just like take my bags, just go on a flight and just go anywhere, and just like I just didn't want to think about it. You know,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to make myself more sad than I was back in the day. But yeah, that was one thing I used to do a lot. And I would never deal with the situation. So like if something happened, I would be like, okay, bye. And I'll just go and like drink all my sorrows away. But then after the situation with my ex, like we'll get to that bit as well after. I was also drinking a lot and stuff like that. And then I start to realize that, wait a minute, drinking doesn't actually, you know, solve anything. It's like sugarcoating, you know? Like I'm gonna wake up, and I didn't realize that the first few months, but then I remember one time I woke up and I was like still drunk, and I was like, wait, drinking is fun, but the problem is still here. You know, like I'm trying to forget about it, but I wake up in the morning after a bender and the problem is still there. Like it's not going anywhere, Quincy. Like the problem is still there. So drinking is not helping you. So then from there, I stopped doing the whole drinking thing. And like I drink once in a while, but not like I used to, of course. Like, you know, God, if I drank like I used to, I'd be an alcoholic. So I just got to a point where I kind of realized like it's not helping. Like the problem's still there. So now like when I have a problem, I just try and resolve it, you know, just like, okay, got a problem, let's solve it, let's get to it. And then it's just better. I know like for a lot of people it's hard, and it was hard for me too. Because you're scared, you know, you're like, oh God, I don't want to deal with this. You don't want to feel, sometimes people don't want to feel emotions, but it's good to deal with it. And drugs and alcohol, they sugarcoat it for a bit, but it's not gonna make anything better. Alcohol doesn't magically make your problems go away. You know?
Yeah. I can relate to it. Like it just doesn't solve the problem. So looking at college, what was college like for you? Because college is an experience for different people, depending on who you are. I loved college, most of it.
I loved it. Yeah, it was cool. I met a lot of different people. I didn't really go to like a lot of wild parties in college, like with my college friends. My college friends were a bit more like, they weren't like the party type I was. They were more like serious and stuff, like concentrate on their studies. But yeah, it was fun. I liked it. it's just like, I don't know, just a lot of parties, I guess, you know. And I think it was an age where I kind of like left home as well. So I was like independent, you know,
Yeah.
like I didn't have to like answer to anybody. So I think that's what like a lot of people enjoy about college, is that kind of like freedom
Yeah.
of like, oh, I don't have to, you know, tell anybody where I'm going tonight. Just go do what the fuck I want, you know? So it's fun. And then go on.
So while you were going to school, obviously parties were part of it. How important were your studies? Were they like a secondary thing to like all of the socialization, or was it something that you still valued like really importantly, and you were working at like, I don't know, internships and stuff like that?
No, studying was like the more important thing. Mm-hmm. It was like my number one priority. Then came partying and stuff like that. I took it really seriously, yeah, because I wanted to be there, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, no one obligated me to go to college or anything. I made that choice. I flew from Brazil to England, and obviously I was interested, so I really did pay attention. Sometimes I would, you know, miss a few days. I would like swerve away when I had like my benders and stuff, but I'd always catch up, you know. And I had really great teachers. Like in my business class, I had really fantastic teachers. And they were so understanding. And I remember like, poor them, sometimes I would just like tell them my problems for no reason. But I would like, you know, some days I'd be like missing for 4 days, and I would come back and be like, I'm so sorry. And like, I did this and like, I fucked up here. And I'm really like, I would feel so bad because I would like feel like I disappointed them. And that's where I go back to like being a perfectionist. And I remember like when I'd come back after like 4 days and not being in class, I would just feel so guilty, and I would be like, I'm so sorry, and like I will make up for it, you know. And they're like, oh, we don't know, you've like missed so many classes and blah blah blah. And then I remember like a bunch of times I would just stay behind for hours and end and just like do all the coursework and like finish at like 8 in the afternoon, and then next morning be like dead and be like, and I'd be like really shocked. You'd be like, how the fuck did you do all this? So I'm just like, I was like, I got like you.
Just like showing off there.
Yeah. Okay. But
so as college was kind of coming to an end, what did you want to do with your life? Because that's like a huge question that people had, right? Had you started getting involved with streaming or doing entertainment or anything like that yet?
No, I actually wanted to do, after I finished college, I want to do PR.
Really?
That's what I want to do. Yeah, like events. I wanted to organize events. That's what I had in mind for a while. And then after college, I fell in love and I moved to Italy, and I was kind of.
So wait, we got. How did you fall in love? Right. What's the story behind that?
How did I fall in love? Okay, so after I finished college, I was actually, even during college, I was going to Italy a lot because I have a cousins who live there. So every time I had a weekend off or a week off, I would fly to Italy because flights were super cheap. They were like $40, $50.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it was only like a 2-hour flight. So I would fly there a lot and like hang out, and I had like a bunch of friends there. I think I had more friends in Italy than I did in college. Like in college, I had a few friends, but like most of like my partying and stuff were in Italy. And I was just living my life, you know, doing all things that a lot of young people do. And I met this guy, and we started seeing each other, and I would like fly back and forward. And I fell in love, and he fell in love. And then, I moved in with him. I was like, what, 18, 19?
How quick are we talking here? Like, is it like we fell in love within like a month and I was moving in like 2 months? Was it over like a course of a year? Like, that's kind of an important information.
I moved in. So, wait, we had the thing on September, August, October, November, December, January. Maybe like 5 or 6 months afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 5, 6 afterwards. Yeah, just after like college ended. Yeah, I moved in with him.
So did you give up your dreams of doing PR, or were you planning on doing PR when you moved in with him?
I didn't really give up dreams for him. I just kind of went on a wrong path in life where I was just doing like drugs and shit. So I wasn't thinking about my future really. I was just like living the moment of like, can't wait to party, So I was doing that for a while, and so was he. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I've done like almost 2 years of this shit. Like I need to like, it's like I've done college. I've enjoyed my 2 years of like, some people take a gap year or whatever. I've enjoyed like 2 years of fun. Now it's time to like, get serious and stuff. And then I don't think he liked that. He also had his own traumas and problems and stuff like that. So when I was trying like to get him clean as well, because he was way worse than me. When I was trying to get him clean, he didn't like the fact that, I don't know, I think he just still wanted to be silly for longer, and I kind of wanted to be more serious. And, I was like, hey, we can still party, but like, I feel like maybe you should go get a job, And he had it really easy. Like his grandparents and parents were like loaded, so he just had to like go work for them and get paid a lot of money to do nothing. But his grandparents were also like trying to like pressure me into telling him to like, like to work and stuff like that. So, but anyway, like we just kind of like, he like fell, he said one day he was just like, I don't love you anymore, blah, blah, blah. So,
so I have a question for you. And if this is hard, I'm sorry. Like, was that relationship a good relationship? Because I imagine if all you're concerned about is partying all the time, that doesn't sound like it would be a very like good relationship in general. Like it feels like there would be a lot of negativity in that, especially at the point where you say I'm done with this.
It wasn't a bad relationship, no. It was actually he probably treated me nicer than any other guy I had. It wasn't a bad relationship. There was a lot of drugs involved, but we were just young, and we were just experimenting and stuff like that. But no, it was a good relationship. I think I fucked it up a bit towards the end because I was getting very jealous and very over like protective, maybe too clingy. And I think it started like after my parents broke up and after my brother and his ex-wife broke up, I started seeing things differently, I was like, oh wait, so like he's gonna cheat on me, and I think that's where it came from. Also, I think also because like a lot of my exes were very jealous and stuff, but I think I saw like seeing like what my dad did and what my brother did. I was kind of like, wait, men. And these were the men I used to look up to, I used to look up to my brother's relationship because everybody thought they were perfect, and I was like, wait, we're not perfect. There was cheating going on. And I think I kind of got, how you say, what's the word? Worried. I got kind of like, I had always in my head, like, wait, so if I thought these guys, insecure about it. And I was like, if these guys who I looked up to, my brother and my dad, who were supposed to have good relationships, fucked up, like, who's going to say he doesn't fuck up, Like, so for example, like, if he went out, I'd be on the phone, like, where the fuck are you? Like, what are you doing? If he looked at any other girl for a second, I would be like, it would just be crazy. So I feel like I did push him away a lot because I was a psycho bitch, psycho. I was way too clingy and way too like, where are you? And stuff like that. No, but it was a good relationship. It was good. It was just, we always used to say like, and we used to always say to each other, like, it was just the wrong time to be together, I think, He was going through stuff.
Do you look back on that with like regrets, like wish you could change it? Because that, like, when you talk about it, there's still a ton of emotion there. Like, it sounds almost like you wish you could have changed the past.
Yeah, I wish I wasn't like insecure about it. I wish I didn't like push him away because I really did love him. I remember like when we broke up, it was the first time I ever got my heart broken, and I had always been the heartbreaker. So when I got my heart broken, I was like, whew, shit, this sucks. I was like, I'm so sorry to all the guys I dumped and saw them cry and stuff. yeah, I wish I could change it, but at the end of the day, things happen for a reason, you know. And it's really strange because like I say that I would have loved to go back and change things, but then me and him did re-see each other after like 3 or 4 years of breaking up, and we saw each other again, and he had said that he wanted to like hang out and stuff and catch up, and I was really nervous because I was like, oh my god, like, you know, I was like, oh my god, he's like the love of my life, you know. And I was like, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is like what we were talking about. You know, maybe this wasn't the right time. And now we're going to like come back. And maybe like now that we're like grown adults, like, you know, he's got his shit together. I've got my shit semi together. Yeah, so we like hanged out and everything. And he kissed me. And it was so weird, Blake. I did not feel anything. Like nothing. No, like butterflies. I remember when I was with him for 2 years. Every time he kissed me, I had butterflies in my tummy. It was just like amazing. And when he came to kiss me, I was like, oh my god, oh my god. And he kissed me, and I was just like, wait, okay. I was like, I didn't like. There was just like no spark. You know, it was like if you know your mate just goes, mwah, you know, and you're like, ha, ha, ha. It was like nothing. Like all the feelings I had were just not there anymore. And I was like, this is weird. Holy shit. I was like, I don't know, is it because I was so heartbroken and it took me 2 years that maybe I really did push our relationship away a lot, like super weird. And I was like, this was the guy I fucking cried over for 2 years. Like for 2 years I was always like you know, like I wish I could be back with him. Then like when it finally happened, and I think he saw that because when he kissed me, he was like, oh my god, he was saying like how things have never changed, like if we were like still in a relationship, you know. And he was like, how this 2 years were just so stupid, and I was listening to him and I was like, fuck, I don't feel the same. Like I kind of want to like get the fuck out of here.
Quincy the Heartbreaker so again.
yeah, and he was like, yeah, you know. And then like I was like, hey, yeah. And then like the next day we met up for coffee, and he was like, you don't feel the same way, do you? And I'm just like, it's weird because I want to, but I don't. You know? I'm like, I really want to because, dude, I fucking loved you like so much. And I'm like, I feel like I would be forcing the feelings, you know? Like I said to him, I think you just broke my heart so much. And I cried for 2 years so much that like when I finally was able to get over you, I closed that book. I buried it down like 100 fucking meters underground. Like I think it was just too late. I was just, you know, I think when you get your heart broken so much and then when you're finally over it, it's like, oh, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, your brain and your heart is just over it. It's like, no, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah. Lagging a touch. Hang on 1 second. We're gonna swap. God bless the internet. That is the one problem with living in Florida, is the internet is not very good.
Oh no.
Let's try this. There we go. Yeah, weird. Swapping servers today, Discord. Please start working for me.
Discord was like really down yesterday. Like it wasn't working at all.
Well, that shows how much I was on Discord yesterday. One of the things I wanted to ask you, a quick jump back, is that you grew up in a family. You mentioned you were 8th generation circus. Have people ever died doing the circus? Is that a thing in your family that like people talk about? Like you actually need to, or is it not nearly as dangerous as it looks?
No, yeah, we've lost a lot of family members due to it. Yeah, it happens, of course. A lot of people fall down, have injuries. We've lost a bunch of people, bunch of family. You lose a lot of friends. Like we lost a lot of friends last year as well. So it's dangerous. If you're doing anything aerial, like, or you're flying up in the air, there's always a risk, you know? So yeah, it's dangerous.
Why do you keep doing it if there's such a risk of danger there? Like, what's the thrill? Like, what is that there? Because I imagine it would be almost like a drug in itself.
It's an adrenaline rush. It's that rush of, you know, like you work so hard, you know, to push your body to do something. And when you perform, like for me, when I perform and you see the people's faces and the cheers, it's like, I don't know. I feel like people who do circus crave that attention, you know? We want it, you know? We work so fucking hard to like do something when your parents are like, it's not good enough. And then you finally achieve it and you hear the applause and the claps and, you know, like, it's just like a satisfaction of like, oh my God, it feels so good. Like I remember like, and it's one thing I always say, like I miss performing, like Twitch and camming and stuff. It's kind of the same like performing. And like when I do something and I see chat like clapping their hands or something, I'm like, oh, you know, it has that same emotion. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you like hear the sound of like the cheers and people cheering you on, it's awesome. Yeah, adrenaline junkies. Yeah, I'm having a deja vu right now. Holy shit. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I can kind of
relate. Do you ever get those?
Yes, all the time. So all the time. I can relate to that because I don't know if you know this. I actually used to play music and I used to play in a band. And I remember one concert where we played, and I just remember the crowd like yelling and being so loud. And it's like the one experience in my mind that I'm always trying to like. I've never hit anything that was like that since then. Right, I've never done anything that was that thrilling, and Twitch is fun. Like even being in front of like a large amount of people, like is fun, but like it's not the same. Like it's different when they're actually there and they're screaming for you.
You know what's missing on like performing online? It's the atmosphere. That's what's missing. That atmosphere of like. So sometimes when I would perform and there wasn't a lot of people in the crowd, you'd come out and you'd feel the atmosphere lacking. And it sucks because you're like, oh, this is a bit of a Debbie Downer. People are not clapping, or maybe there's not enough people in here. But it's really hard because you still have to give your 110% on stage, you know? And I remember I used to fight with people when they would perform with me. And then just because there wasn't a big crowd, they would be like, they would perform like shit. Which for me is like super unprofessional because as a performer, I feel like you should give your 110% if there is 20,000 people watching you or if there's 5 people watching you, you know? But it does like, it does help and it feels much better when you go, like, I remember like sometimes I'd walk on stage and then there would be a full crowd and you can hear the cheers and the atmosphere and people are like, fuck yeah, we're ready to see a show. And then like, that amps you up. Like you're like, fuck yeah, you know, and then you do perform better. I do realize that sometimes I perform better when the cheers and people are like, yeah, go for it, you know? But yeah, it does. It feels amazing. Yeah. I love it. I miss it.
Yeah, I miss playing in front of crowds sometimes. I've thought about like doing it again. I'm like, no, that's like the amount of time I'm putting into Twitch, I can't justify putting in that time to try to learn that again and get really good. One of the things I was going to ask you is after you broke up with your love of your life, as you say, and there was a 2-year crying period of like emotional. What do you do during that 2 years after that?
Okay, so that's when I went back to circus. I went to see my mom, and she still works in the circus. I went to see my mom, you know, because I was heartbroken, homeless, and I just arrived with all my bags, and I was like, oh, Mom. So she comforted me for a long time. And then she was working at my uncle's show at the time. She still is. And, you know, I was just there chilling, you know, being like, okay, so what am I going to do with my life? Whatever. Like, I might do this and that. Or I was planning on like moving back to London. And then my uncle comes in and he's like, you know, like, we're kind of thinking of like, you know, like getting some like magic props and doing like some illusions. It's like, Quincy, you would be like, would you like to do that? I was like, oh God, work here for a year. I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I could handle that. And then I remember like I went into the circus tent and I just like, it just hit me, or I was like, fuck, I missed this, you know? Like, I miss this shit. So I miss performing. I was like, I am a performer. I am not made to be sitting in a fucking office. I am not made to, you know, sit behind a counter or, you know, work behind the scenes. I'm not made for that. I'm made to perform. Mm-hmm. I need the spotlight, you know, I crave the attention. Yeah. So I said to him, like, you know what? Fuck yeah, let's do this. And I was like, but I have full control of everything. I was like, I want this, and that. I want these magic props. I want it to be an all-girl thing. And then I made an act, and then I just went back into circus. And then that next year, my ex arrived, and he had like a flying trapeze troupe, and that's how I got into flying trapeze.
This is a different ex, right?
Yeah. Yeah, illusions is like, you know, the big boxes you see the pretty girls go into, and then they disappear. Okay, that's what I used to do. I did it, but an all-girl act, so it was all girls.
Okay.
So we would have like a big box and have like 5-10 girls go inside, and then like make the box look small, and everyone's like, oh my god, where did I go, you know? And then flying trapeze is different.
You switched to trapeze. What made you want to do the switch?
I didn't switch. I did both acts at the same time.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I did loads of stuff. I did like dancing, illusions, I did comedy, and I did the flying trapeze as well.
Okay. Which one was your favorite?
The flying trapeze, because the adrenaline rush. Like every time I would fly, it was just like buzzing. So yeah, that one.
Okay. So are you constantly seeking that? Is that something you always look forward to? Like I feels like it's like the high that you're always trying to find. Are you still trying to find that kind of like adrenaline rush high? Because I mean, if you look at all the stuff you've done, it's always in front of crowds.
Yeah, I do. I love it. I love the feeling of the adrenaline. So anytime I can do something that's like that I have a little bit of fear, I want to do it, you know? So I remember like I never had interest in flying trapeze when I saw it. Yeah. And then I went up one time because I think my brother was visiting and he went up. And then, you know, brother and sister competition. I was like, I can do that better than you. And he was like, you've never even been on a trapeze. I was like, watch me. And I went up and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I've never done this before. And the only reason I went up was just to like show off like that I was better than my brother, even though something I've never done before. And I flew, and I remember like letting go and like flying on the trapeze. And I was just like, it was just instant love. It was just like, I remember I went down the net, I came down, and my mom always tells me like when I came down, my eyes were just like she was just like, it was so weird, like the atmosphere, like my eyes were like shining, and like she said I had this glow about me. It was crazy, and like I had this huge smile that she had never seen before, and she was like, whoa, what happened there? And I was like, and I turned around to my ex at the time. He was a catcher. I turned around to my ex at the time, and I was like, you're teaching me how to fly. He was like, what? I was like, you're teaching me how to fly. And he was like, you just did it now. And I was like, yeah, I love it. You're teaching me how to fly. We start tomorrow. And that's how it happened. Next morning, I woke up, knocked on his door. I was like, let's go. And he thought I was joking. And he was like, wait, you serious? I'm like, I'm dead ass serious, dude. Let's go. Like, get your fucking joggers on. We're going up. And then, yeah, and he taught me everything I knew. So that's how it started.
Have you ever hurt yourself in the circus? Is that something that you've ever experienced?
Yeah, that's the reason why I do full-time streaming now. I hurt myself to flying trapeze.
Okay, what happened?
So I was dizzy one day. I had like flu symptoms, so I was dizzy, I was coughing and everything. And I was on the platform, and we were doing the tricks, and my ex at the time was doing the catching. And I remember I shouted at him. I was like, we're going to make the act short because I'm not going to do the tricks. And he looks at me and he's like, what's wrong? I was like, I feel very dizzy. I said to him, I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, I feel like I was up there and I was like, you know, like when you're like, you ever had that feeling when you're like about to faint? And I was holding on to dear, like, because I didn't want to go down. I was like, I'm just going to try and like stay, you know, the whole act, be professional, do my smiley face, even though I'm fucking dying. So we're not doing my tricks, we'll do this, and someone else will do a double, and we'll just make it quick, and let's go. And I said to him, anyway, we've done three fucking shows today, we're all tired, let's just go. So there we go, fly. And then he was telling me, I should have listened to him. He was like, so here's the platform, okay? And then you have like the little stairs that you go up. So when you start the act, you go up from the stairs. Yeah. But usually when you finish the act, everyone just flies and lands on the net and goes down from the net. So he was telling me, he was like, if you're too dizzy to do that one simple trick, go down from the stairs, you know, because he could see me. I was like, every time I was turning around from the crowd and I was going, oh my God, like I was like dying. Yeah. He was like, go down from the stairs. And I was like, no, it's fine. I'll go down. Because I used to do this really pretty thing where I would like let go and I would bounce on the net and I'd come off the net and I'd do like a little pretty like pose of my body. So I was like, no, it's fine. I'll go down from the net. It's fine. And he was like, just go down from the stairs. And me being
the perfectionist,
I was like, no, like I haven't done one trick. I'm going down from the fucking net. So I go, I swing, and then the moment I let go, I like completely black out. Like I blacked the fuck out. Like I think I fainted. That's what happened. So I remember letting go of trapeze, and I remember blacking out, like everything going black, and I landed. I just remember seeing like my face on the net. And then I remember I got up, I did like a compliment. I went down from the net. And then when I did that, like the soaring pain, like from like all here, my neck into my shoulder, like it felt like someone just like grabbed a machete and just went, you know, and I just remember like the pain. But I remember like having this huge smile on my face because I was like, cannot show the people I'm dying. You know, I was like, and so yeah, so then I remember like they did the compliment, but I walked out straight away. So they did the compliment, I walked out, went through the curtains, and the moment I reached backstage, I just like fell on the floor. I was just like in tears, screaming for my mom.
What had happened?
Yeah. What happened was I like bruised all the inside and I pulled like the ligaments. Like, you know, when you strain your ligaments?
Yeah.
So when you strain your ligaments, it's pretty much worse than breaking your bone because once you damage your ligaments, it's hard for them to like, you know, go back to what they were. So yeah, I damaged all my ligaments. There was a lot of internal bruising. I couldn't move my neck for ages. I had to wear like a neck brace and a thingy. And then I was getting better. And then I went and then I got into a car crash and then it made it worse. So yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, it was horrible. And then I like tried to go back up, but then I always had problems. So like there was for a while where I couldn't lift my arm like higher than this, you know?
Yeah.
And then for the trapeze, I need to have my arm like this. So I couldn't lift my arm. And then when I was able to, it was just constant pain, agony. And then like, yeah, so then I was out for ages. And the problem is that when you build muscle for an act, it takes you forever, yeah? So you're training for months and months, even years to like perfect something. And then you can lose it all in months.
Yeah.
You know, you still have a bit of muscle memory. Yes, you do. But like, for example, now when I go back to training, it's gonna like I'm doing everything new again.
Yeah.
All my arm muscles I used to have, all my back muscles are all gone.
So one of the things you mentioned, you said when you go back to training, do you plan on going back to the circus in the future?
Oh, yeah. I plan on going back, but maybe not like I like doing the streaming and I would do the streaming, but I would still want to like, I just miss performing. So I would like to do maybe like, I would like, if I ever do get back to performing, I would still stream. But I probably won't do like circus full time like I used to. I'll probably do like some like festivals and stuff like that. But I do miss it. You know, it's like it's something that's missing in my life. Like when I'm sad, I always think about trapeze. You know, and like I remember when I started trapeze, it was like a good, you know, substitution to alcohol. So when I would be sad, I would drink alcohol. But then when I found trapeze, when I would be sad, I would like call my ex and be like, hey, like, can we go and like try and learn a new trick? You know, and it would give me the adrenaline rush and like the distraction. Yeah, so I do miss it.
That's cool. Well, I can't wait to see what you do in the circus again, kind of. So hopefully we get to see lovely videos of that. One thing I was going to ask you is, after you had hurt yourself, you kind of blew off a car crash that happened. What's the story behind that? Yeah,
so I got in an accident. So when I was in therapy for my back, I had my cast off and everything, and I was getting much better. And I was in Italy, and we went out one night. I was very drunk, And the guy who was driving us home, like my friend, he wasn't supposed to be drinking. He was only like supposed to have like one drink
He's
or something.
Sober driver.
Yeah. So I think he had a drink or something. He was like, "Oh, I'll just have one, and then I'll be fine until like I'll be fine by the time we leave," you know, because we were planning on staying there for like 5 hours anyway. And I was like, okay, cool. But like, I wasn't like hanging out with him. Like, so we arrived there and we kind of like parted ways, you know? So I was there, some other people were in the car with us, and I was just like, just walking around and talking to other friends I hadn't seen in a long time. So when the night ended, I remember I was outside. I was like, you know, when you're drunk, you're like, you don't know what the fuck's going on. You're stumbling. I'm like, ha, I'm laughing. So my friend pulls up in the car and he's like, "Hey, look, we're gonna go now, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm coming. So I say goodbye to my friends. I go in. I don't even look at him. I don't even look him in the face because I was just drunk, you know? So I didn't even know he was the way he was. I just remember like taking my phone, getting the cable to like put the music. And I'm just like, woohoo, like, you know, in my party mood. And then all of a sudden it was just like, bam, 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 bam. Like, so the first thing I thought was that we had actually landed in a lake, because when the car like tipped over, all I saw was like water splashing, and like my side was filling up with water. Like literally in seconds, like water was like up to my waist. And I thought, oh my God, my worst fear is coming true. I'm gonna die by drowning. And I started freaking the fuck out, and I was like, like screaming, trying to pull my belt up, and like he's trying to get out of the car, and I'm climbing on top of him, and I'm like, "Get me the fuck out of here!" Like survival mode. Quincy came in. I was like, "I don't give a fuck about you. I need to get out of here." And what happened is that we like fell into like a really big ditch. So like in Italy, like the little small country roads, they have like small little country roads, and they have these huge ass like dips of like just ditches, and then there's like vineyards and stuff like that. So what happened is like I didn't like have a seatbelt on, so I was sitting and I was like leaning like this. So when we hit, like my whole body went smashed against that. So then like I was in pain for ages, and then I was like, fuck, all the pain I'm feeling is the same like from my accident. So I don't know if I like, you know, like damaged it again or something, but it was really painful. And then I went to the doctor, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, your ligaments are very fucked up." And I was like, "Thank you." Know that already. So yeah. So then that kind of like delayed me as well, because I was kind of like in pain for ages. I was taking like really strong painkillers. Yeah. Because it was just so painful. I actually felt like the pain from the accident lasted longer than the pain from like the trapeze.
Oh, really?
It was really weird. Yeah, it was like always, and sometimes I still get it. Like it was like 2-3 days ago, I had like really bad pain again, like from my neck and my shoulder blade and inside. Oh. And it's really horrible because like the pain comes from inside. So even if I like massage it or like get a massage machine, it's like it's not getting where that pain is. And like, it's like a knot like inside. It's really horrible.
Were you ever worried about taking like pain meds when you hurt yourself? Because when I chopped off my fingers, that was something that kind of worried me, just because I have like addiction that runs through my family. So like, I was always really terrified of it.
No, I wasn't scared at all. It was just so painful. I would have taken anything. Yeah. It was just so painful that I was just like, give me anything. Like, I don't care. Whatever is gonna make me feel good, give it to me. So yeah, they were strong. They didn't really do anything. It just made me feel very sleepy during the day, which I didn't like, because I was like bedridden for ages, and I kind of like during the day I wanted to go out and like talk to people, so I was always very drowsy and stuff. But yeah, it wasn't like a painkiller that I actually, when I got off them, I was kind of happy, really, to be honest. I took them for the pain. Yeah, like, it didn't make me feel better any other way. Yeah, I just took them for the pain.
That makes sense. So what happens after this? After you get into these accidents, you can't do circus anymore. What do you decide to do with your life? Because you mentioned you didn't want to ever be in an office.
I then decided to become a cam girl.
What is
and
that?
How
like?
it started?
What's it like to just suddenly one day be like, I'm gonna become what's the gender? Cam girl, cam guy.
So it started because even before my accident, So like when I had my accident, I had already like kind of started camming, but I wasn't full time. I was like experimenting. But before I started experimenting, for 2 years before, I always had this thing about camming seems very interesting. You know, I was like, I would like to try this out. And it all started, I remember like maybe 2 years before I even pressed the broadcast button. I was, watching porn one day, and I kept seeing like these pop-ups, like "Watch girls live right now," you know. And I was like, and after a while, I was like, "Are these girls really alive, or is this like a pre-recorded thing, and they're just scamming people from like left, right, and center?" So I started doing some research on it, and I started, watching some of these scam sites and getting to know the girls and stuff like that. And I was like, shit, this is real. So this is like legit. Like I'm talking to someone. Because before I remember I joined some sites, and I joined mostly as a member, and I'd watch girls, and I just wanted to see like if it was true, like the interaction. Is this really live? Am I really talking to a person? Like, am I really tipping them and they're gonna do something, So I watched as a member for ages, and I would tip girls, Mostly like I would just see if it was like real, Like I'd be like, oh, tip to do a striptease, and they'd be like, oh, thank you. I can't remember what name I used to use. I think I think it was probably Roxanne. I used to have, my name used to be Roxy back in the day.
Roxanne. There's some humor in that if you know the Police song. I'm just saying.
So I think I used to go by Roxy, and I had my like member account as Roxanne. And I would tip, and they'd be like, thank you, Roxanne. And I'd be like, damn, this shit's real. Like, this is fucking cool. And then after when I had my accident and I felt better, then I started going like more full time with it. And that's when I started thinking, fuck, I love this shit. This is awesome, and started doing it part time. I would finish work, and then because after trapeze, I didn't do trapeze for a long time, and then I just started just doing magic instead. So I would finish work, and then I would arrive home, and I would start camming. And
did you keep it a secret from everyone?
Yeah, of course. At the beginning, yes, I was keeping a secret from everybody. And I remember the reason my mom found out was because she knew I was out of work for a while. So I remember like I didn't have money. I was really like, pretty much she was supporting me a lot because I just wasn't working, She realized that I couldn't work now and stuff like that. And I remember one time, I wanted to buy something, and I said to her like, I said something along the lines of like, oh, I'm getting like 3,000 in the bank anyway tomorrow. I was like, can you lend me the money? And she was like, what do you mean you're getting 3,000 in the bank tomorrow? And I was like, fuck. I was like, no, it's like, and she was like, how are you affording like all these things? Like, you're not working, like you're not making the money you were making. Like, how are you, like, what is this coming from? And I was just like, fuck. I was like, Mom, I do this thing here online. And she was like, oh, what do you do? Like, she was like really worried. She's like, what do you do? Like, you meeting these men online? I'm like, no. Like, I was like, I don't meet these guys online. Like, it's just like this. And I showed her a bunch of documentaries, and I was explaining. At first, she was a bit iffy, like every mom would be, because you don't know, right? Like when I first watched it, I was curious. I was like, what the fuck is this shit, Yeah. So, and then she warmed up to it, and she knows everything. Like, we talk every day. Like, I tell her everything that happens. Like, oh, I was camming today and this happened. It was funny. So she figured out like that, because she is figuring like, where the fuck is she getting all this money from? Because I haven't been working. Like I'm not making that much money to be able to afford this kind of stuff. So it's like,
it was probably way worse than she was thinking. She probably was like, how the hell is Quincy making all this money? Is she selling drugs? Is she out on the street? And you're like, nope. And she's like, oh, okay, that's not nearly as bad.
At first she thought I was doing escorting. And then I was like, but how would I be doing escorting, Mom? I'm like, I live with you. I was like, I'm always home. When the fuck do I have time to go out and do that? And she was like, yeah, you're right there. And I'm like, exactly. You see me all the time. So she thought that, and of course she had her worries and stuff like that. She's like, is it safe, are you gonna be okay? And I explained to her, and she like watches, and now she knows everything about it. So, but yeah, at the beginning, of course, I kept it secret, because I was like, this is like, ooh, and a lot of like, okay, so like circus people, they do travel a lot and they are cultured, but they are also quite close-minded about things like this. Like, for example, I know I will never have a husband in the circus industry, just because I know people will be like, oh, well, your girlfriend does camming, like, I know I will never have a serious boyfriend in the circus industry, which is fine by me. Just because they're quite close-minded like that, It's mostly the older generation, but yeah, of course I kept it a secret. I was, it was like something like naughty.
So I have a question.
But yeah.
Starting up camming, okay, is there any similarities to starting up Twitch? Like, is it just as hard to get noticed, or is it relatively easy? Or like, how do you build up that audience? Because you still have to build up an audience the same way you would any other platform, I imagine.
With camming, it's not based on views as much as it is on Twitch. Like, for example, like camming and Twitch for me is like pretty much the same thing. I do the exact same thing. I sit here, I talk. I'm more of a talkative cam girl, and then like I can do a lot of TOS shit on there. But camming is not based on views. So for example, like the top model on my site has way less viewers than I do. She just has 3 or 4 top dogs, that keep her going. So it's not based on views at all. Views ain't gonna get you anywhere. So when girls complain about views, I'm like, girls, like, you don't need the views. Like, views ain't gonna get you nowhere. Views don't make you money. It's not Twitch. It's more like, I think with camming, it's more based on luck. Okay. So you could be so I know some cam girls who work their asses off. Like, damn, they are so creative and they spend so much hard working time, and they are barely noticed. They barely make a lot of money. They're struggling and stuff like that. And then you see a lot of cam girls who are top dogs that maybe don't put in as much effort. They're still great, they're still fantastic, but maybe they're not doing all this crazy things that all these other cam girls are doing. And I think it's more based on luck. Of course, you have to be a hard worker, of course, but it's more based on luck. Like, if you go in there and you get this guy who has a lot of money, who likes you, you're lucky. So it's more based on that, really. So you can do things to try and get noticed. You could try and get on the top page and stuff like that. It's hard. Sometimes, like, I've had good times, sometimes I've had bad times when camming. It's up and down. It just depends.
Did you have a plan going into it when you started camming? Did you have a plan of, this is how I'm going to start to get, or is it just flick on the broadcast and let's just go?
I'm impulsive, dude. I clicked it on and I was like, all right, let's go. How does this work? And then obviously when you're a new girl, you got a lot of guys coming in trying to like scam you, So they were like, oh, like, for example, like, oh, has tipped 10,000 tokens. I'm like, you do know you haven't tipped tokens, right? Because I had watched girls for so long and I had done my research. No motherfucker was scamming me. They tried so hard, because I do see a lot of new girls. When I see a lot of new girls, I see a lot of guys and they're scamming them. They're like, oh, we tipped this, and they start doing stuff, and I would like DM them straight away. I'd be like, they did not tip you, girl. Like, watch out, but no, I didn't. I just broadcast, and I was like, yeah, here we go. Like, let's see what this adventure takes us, And I'm very happy I did it. Camming has been very lucrative for me. I have met so many amazing people, and it led me to Twitch as well. So if I didn't start camming, I would have never been sitting here with you right now.
Yeah, that would have been sad because I'm amazing. I'm just kidding.
You would have never existed.
Yeah, I would have just never existed. Is there similarities between entertaining an audience? Is it just like a performance for you, like both doing it, like being on Twitch and camming?
What do you mean?
Like the way that you have to connect to an audience. Do you see similarities in camming and doing Twitch, right? Minus the TOS difference.
For me, exactly the same.
Okay.
For me, exactly the same.
So what are some elements? What are some elements you think that people lack in when they do these broadcasts? Is like when you watch people, what are some things that you notice that like, wow, this is really lacking. These are things you need to do if you're going to be successful on any platform.
That's hard because I feel like I'm lacking in a lot of things as well. I don't know. I think so. When it comes to camming, I'll comment more on the camming things. So I have a bit more knowledge on that area. I think there's a lot of things that girls do wrong in camming. Is so I see a lot of girls, and I know camming is so hard. I know when you're sitting there and no one's in your room and no one's tipping, it is so heartbreaking and it's really hard. But I think one thing that a lot of girls do that is never going to get them success is that they're sitting there and they're huffing and puffing and they're like, oh, is anyone going to tip me? Like, there's no one in here. Like, what the fuck? You know? And I want to say I've been guilty of that once or twice. I've done it once or twice. But I've noticed that, like, when girls do that, like, when I would come and watch girls and they do that, I'm like, I want to leave. So imagine if a member comes in your room. No one wants to sit around and be like, no one wants to see a Debbie Downer.
I suppose there isn't a live streams fail that someone can then clip that and put it on like LSF, and then suddenly you grow huge complaining about people not paying you for your content, right?
Exactly, yeah. Because when I saw that clip on Twitch on Twitter going around about that one person, I was laughing. I was like, "This is cam girls every day." I was like, "This is them every day." But yeah, so like I see a lot of girls do that. They're like huffing and puffing, and like if you're not feeling it, log off. That's what I do. You know, sometimes I'm like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go. It's a bit quiet tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Blah blah blah, and I just log off. I don't want to sit there and huff and puff. Nobody wants a Debbie Downer. You know, like okay, I'm really real. Like I talk about like problems and my emotions and stuff, but people come to watch me and other streamers because they want to like a distraction. You know. They don't want to like, they have their own fucking problems. They don't want to watch you and watch your problems. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, it's okay to like say, oh, I'm going through this, and your viewers would be like, oh, I'm sad, blah, blah, blah. But nobody wants to come and watch and hear your problems. And that's just the truth. Yeah. You know? Like they have their own problems. They come for distraction. They come for entertainment. So I think lacking, I don't know. It's a really hard question, Blake, because I feel like I'm lacking in a lot of things as well.
What do you think you're lacking in? Like, what are some qualities you think you're lacking in?
Okay, this comes more from like me judging myself. I wish I'm lacking on like inspiration right now. Like there's so much what I want to do, but I keep pushing it aside. I have so many ideas that I want to do, but I keep pushing them aside. So I'm like, oh, I want to do this. And then I'm like, I wake up in the morning, I'm just like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. You know, I wish I had more energy. That's why I tweeted the other day. I was like, I wish it was more hours in the day because I sleep, I wake up. By the time I get ready, have my dinner or something, it's like, oh, time to stream already. Like, oh, fuck, gotta stream. Or like, yeah, I wish I just had more energy. I'm so lacking in energy right now. And I just wish I would just do what I say I would do. That's what I'm lacking on. Maybe on Twitch, I'm lacking on content. I don't know what people think content is on here,
I don't know what content is either.
I hate that word. People are like, "You just do content," and I'm just like, I don't know. I just do what I do. I don't, you know, I do what I want to do, what I think is good. And I guess a bunch of people like it because if they didn't, I wouldn't have the viewers I have or the people who follow me. Everyone is not for everybody, you know? Like, for example, like not everyone's going to like you. So I think that's one thing I find hard is that to realize that not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone's going to like your content, where I kind of like crave that a little bit. Yeah, where I want to like please everybody, but you can't. So.
Yeah. So looking at getting into Twitch, what made you get into Twitch?
Okay, so I was camming and people in my chat room were talking about Twitch. And they're like, oh, Quincy, do you stream on Twitch? And I was like, no, but I've heard about it. I've seen it a few times. Like, I haven't really explored it. I was like, I know big gamers go in there. I thought it was more for gaming, really.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, big gamers go in there, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, you should try it out. You know, a lot of people do just chatting, and I flicked through it, and I was like, you know, I wasn't very, you know, interested. And then, yeah, then I just kind of like that night, I was just like, oh, let me have a look at Twitch a little bit, and I was looking through Twitch, and I remember the first recommended was Doc. This is before I didn't even know who the Raj was. I didn't know all these big streamers were. All I knew was like Ninja, because he's mainstream. You know, you see him on the news, on the TV, on Twitter, and Tim the Tapman, of course. So I watched Doc for a bit, and I saw he was in these recruitment shows, but I didn't really know what they were for. I just kind of enjoyed the dynamic of the podcast and people talking and stuff like that. And I was like, it's pretty cool. And I subbed to him, and yeah, so like every night I would just like watch him, and I'll like sleep and just like chill, you know. And then I started streaming on Twitch, and I streamed maybe like 3 or 4 times, but very part-time, like once a week, and then 2 weeks would go and I'll do 2 weeks. Like it was more of like a hangout place from my campsite. So for example, like, because like on my campsite, if you're not making money, you lose points, what are called camp score.
Okay.
So when you lose camp score points, you have to make like $50 an hour, pretty much. If you're not making $50 an hour, you lose points. And then your camp score shows you like where you are. So for example, if you have a really shitty camp score, it's like views. So for example, on Twitch, you don't have enough views. You're all the way down the just chatting section, right? If your camp score, if you don't have a good camp score on camming, you're all the way down. So you get less notice. And the more money you make a week, more money you make an hour for the company, of course, the more higher camp score you get. So the more top of the page you are, the more more you get noticed, because some people don't like scrolling. They just go and they go, oh, this girl looks nice. You click on the top page, you know? That's why the top girls usually always stay on top, because there are, sense. You know. So when like I would have quiet days on cam, I would be like, oh, let's just go on Twitch, shall we, and watch movies and play video games or whatever. And then after I would do that, and I started doing a bit more and more, and I started to enjoy it. And then Doc wrote to me on Twitter once, and he was like, hey, do you want to come on the show? And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, yes. And I was like, I'm in LA right now, but when I get home, because I didn't have like all my setup, I was like, when I get home, I'll be down. And I remember like, it was like a month or later or something. I made him wait forever. I finally went on the show, and then, yeah. And that's how it started. And I started like, then I did the Queen of the Hill, and then I started doing some more podcasts, and I started streaming more, and then I just started like falling more in love with it. You know, it was like gradually, slowly. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I think one of the big reasons I love Twitch is just the community, and how streamers like in camming, cam girls don't go in each other's rooms. It's like leeching. You don't go in another cam girl's room. Like it just doesn't exist, you know? Yeah. People don't do podcasts and camming, you know? So like you only see them at events and stuff. So that's what I liked about streaming on Twitch. It was like everybody, like other streamers would come in my room, raid each other, do podcasts, do things like this. So because even though like camming is cool, but it can get lonely. And I was feeling very lonely when I moved in here, because I live alone. When I moved in here, and I was doing camming, like, hey, you have your chat and everything. And when you're with chat, you don't feel lonely. Like when I do my camming or Twitch, I have my chat with me, and, you know, I don't feel lonely. Like I don't realize that I'm actually alone. Then when the stream goes up and you turn around, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm actually alone. And I felt like Twitch was a good way to meet other streamers who could relate to me, and then like do podcasts, and then like, you know, Discord calls and offline appearance and stuff like that. And yeah, I kind of like don't make me feel as lonely anymore. So yeah.
Okay. So are you looking to, like, is it your dream to eventually stop camming and just do Twitch? Because I would have thought that like if I could see a progression, if there is a progression, like they say, we go from camming maybe to doing more stuff involving the adult entertainment industry. That seems like the progression up, possibly.
I got asked this question the first time I was a docs, and I said no. I love camming. I wouldn't stop doing it. I like it. I don't do it as much as I used to, just because my site has been having some technical difficulties the last few months. But they had a big upgrade yesterday, so let's see if it works. So yeah, like, no, I wouldn't. If I ever got big on Twitch, I wouldn't stop camming. I would still do it. Maybe I wouldn't do it as consistently as I used to, which is kind of like what I do now. Now I think I go on Twitch way more than I go on camming, so I'd probably be doing the same. I just like the whole like cam. I like Twitch a bit more, and then camming as like, oh, getting naughty now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you ever think about moving to do other adult entertainment things, like going straight to like porn and doing that like completely?
So I've only started like thinking about that recently. So before I was like, no, I don't want to do mainstream porn, but I think I would like to do it. Maybe not now. I think I was talking to my chat the other day where I kind of was like, I really want to do like professional girl on girl stuff, you know, like twisties and like brazzers do very good things. So more like professional, like girl on girl with like big names like Angela White, Abella Danger, you know, Karma RX, all them fucking amazing talented girls. And boy girl, like I'm not sure if I want to do that. If I ever did like mainstream porn, it would probably be like 1 or 2 scenes, you know, but very like big scenes. Like I'm a perfectionist. I ain't gonna do like some, you know, fucking on the couch or on the hotel bedroom. Like it's gonna be a big production. So maybe, who knows? It's like I'm still like, you know, contemplating it. I would do the girl on girl. Like I've done girl on girl, but I would do like professional girl on girl. For sure. That's for sure. Boy and girl, I'm not sure. I feel like in the time of my career right now, no, I wouldn't do it. Maybe in a year or something.
Okay, what makes you say no though? What is the leeriness to it?
Because I think at the beginning it was like more like if I do mainstream porn, people will like recognize me more. Like I'll get outed more. People know what I do, but like a lot of people don't. And I guess like people be like, "Oh, Quincy is a porn star. Here we go." But it's mostly because I like being my own boss.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I were ever to do like full-time porn, it's more like, okay, go in this position, do this, do that. You know, have to be on set at this time, where I'm like, no, I don't think I could do that. I like being my own boss. I like doing what I want to do when I want to do it. And yeah, so if I ever did mainstream porn, it would just be like 1 or 2 scenes. I wouldn't like do it full time.
That's fair. What's it been like to learn about the adult entertainment industry? Because I feel like there's a perception from the outside of people who aren't involved, and that perception varies depending on like who you are and like who you know. I feel like a lot of times there's like a really negative perspective versus like a very highly fantasized perspective, I guess, that people have. What's it actually like?
I feel like a lot of people have this perception of porn being like dirty or nasty or like involved with the wrong crowd, you know, like, oh, if you get into porn, you're gonna be involved around drugs and shit like that, you know. When it's not like that at all. I feel like if you get into porn and you don't know the good companies and the right people to talk to, you may end up in some fucking couch casting in Florida. you know, from some dodgy guy who probably just uploads the shit on fucking Pornhub. But yeah, so people have this perception of it, of like being nasty and like just a bunch of people just fucking each other and stuff like that, and like you get into drugs. But it's not like that. Like I was lucky enough when I went to my first event when I go to industry events, I do talk to a lot of porn star people and people I know a lot of people in the industry, and it's not like that at all. Like these are some fantastic people, very intelligent. No one's dirty or nasty, and at the end of the day, drugs are everywhere, aren't they, Blake? Not just drugs. People are like, oh, you're getting porn into drugs. I'm like, there's drugs everywhere, dude. There's drugs in your fucking school and McDonald's. Relax. But yeah, no, it's just like any other industry, you know? It's just they're just sexual. Like, you know, I find like a lot of like porn industry and like entertainment industry are very similar.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that instead of doing acrobat, they're sucking dick.
Yeah.
You know, it's very similar. It's entertainment. The entertainment business is very similar. You know, a lot of people who are in porn are very perfectionists. You know, and they like to do things a certain way. They like the adrenaline of like when they're like shooting. You know, people are watching them, and
yeah,
it's good.
Looking at the chats between like these two different what is it like dealing with people? Are people nicer in the camming world? Are they nicer in Twitch? Are they both pretty fucking awful all the time?
It just depends. Some people are nice, some people are not.
Okay.
I don't think there's one industry that's better than the other. You know? I feel like there's some people who I get on with, and then some people who I don't.
Okay.
And I don't think they're very different at all. I see a lot of similarities in like the porn industry and the circus industry. You know, I don't think it's a big difference. At the end of the day, it's all entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very similar. And I don't think one is better than the other at all.
Okay. So what about one of the things that you had mentioned on your Twitch stream is that you get a lot of like people who say some really mean things and really nasty things and really like threatening things like all the time. How do you handle that? Because I feel like after a while, even thick skin can't, like when someone throws a death threat at you, right? Then like there's only so much that thick skin can be like there for that, right? Like when you're threatening to hurt someone, that's not a thick skin thing.
Yeah, it can be hard. Like I feel for me, when people say something to me, I have quite thick skin and I just like brush it off just because I'm so used to it, you know? Like it's just words to me at the end of the day. Some things can get to you, of course, especially when you're having a shit day, you know, when you're already having a bad day and that one little motherfucker comes in and says something about your nose or something and you're like, oh, fuck you. Today, fuck you. But no, it does get to me sometimes. There's some things that people say to me in chat that like do like stay in my head for a long time where I'm like, oh God, what if they're right? You know? Then I start doubting myself. I'm like, oh fuck, what if they're right? What if I am shitty streamer? What if I don't have any content, you know? But how do I deal with it? I think I've just been so used to having people shit on me for such a long time that like I've kind of grown that thick skin where I'm like, you know what, people can say whatever, this is what I'm gonna do. Because I feel like in life people are always gonna say shit to bring you down for some weird reason. People just like doing that. People don't like seeing other people succeed in life. They just don't, you know? Even though if me, you have two different careers, a lot of people when they see someone succeeding, they're like, nah, fuck this bitch, why is she succeeding, you know? And a lot of people like to bring you down because they're like, you know what? No, people have to be all like me, shitty and blah, blah, blah. But I just kind of, I don't know. I think I've learned in my life that if I listen to what people have to say about me, I will not be where I am right now. If I had to listen to every stupid fucking opinion that people be like, oh, Quincy, you live in, I used to always get told this when I was younger, Quincy, you live in a bubble, like come back to reality, you know? Like, stop dreaming so big. If I listened to those people, I would be where I am right now. I'd probably be, I don't know, working some fucking office job or something.
Yeah.
You know, bored out of my life, probably married to some prick or something, you know? So I think I realized that, like, you know what? I shouldn't listen to other people, you know? Of course I listen to, like, people who give me, you know, advice and stuff like that, but people who I want advice from.
Exactly.
If you're someone who tells me something, I'm like, well, look at you, dude. I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Like, I don't admire to be you at all. So I take advice from people who, and sometimes people who I admire give me advice that I disagree with or tell me I can't do nothing. I think, like, for me, it's the more you tell me I can't do something, the more I'm like, oh, let me show you.
Yeah.
People said to me, like, you will never be able to do camming full time. You will never be able to be a streamer full time. That's impossible. Like, that's just a dream job. And I was like, really? Watch me.
Yeah.
So my ex, when I broke up with my ex, because he didn't want me doing this, he was jealous. He was like, "You're never gonna succeed. Like you're never gonna be anything being a whore online." And I was like, "Really? Watch me, bitch." And I did it.
Yeah.
I did it. You know.
Do you ever have social anxiety going outside though? Like, because you have gotten death threats. That like I feel like at the point where I start to get those, I don't know if they'll ever happen. I imagine someday maybe. I'm a pretty nice person. I don't think most people threaten to kill me because I seem so childishly nice. And so people are like, why would I threaten a 12-year-old here? But I imagine it's going to happen. Do you ever worry about like going outside and having like social anxiety? Like, what if today's the day that one of those things are real?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, all the time. Not so much where I live, but when I go to events and stuff like that. Like when I went to TwitchCon San Diego, my stalker was like threatening me, like he's gonna be there, he's gonna kill me and all this shit. And with TwitchCon, I didn't have security, you know, like I'm a nobody for Twitch, you know, I ain't no Pokemon that walks around with fucking security guards with her. Where like when I go to industry events like AVN Expos, I have security with me all the time. You know, they walk me to my room, they walk me here. So at Twitch, I was kind of nervous, but like a lot of people who were around me knew the situation I was in. So everybody had my back. I was never alone at TwitchCon. Everyone was like, "Oh, Quincy, I'll come with you. Oh, I'll come with you. Oh, you need to go home." Like, you know, I was always like, or they'd always check up on me. Like if I had to get Uber on my own, they'd be like, "Oh, make sure you got home okay. You okay?" Like, so, but it does get worrying, especially like when I go to AVN as well. Like when I was walking around AVN, there was a situation where like there was this one guy who was like attacking models who actually knocked in our room. He knocked in our room with 2 other girls, and I recognized his face because somebody had posted his photo on Twitter saying, "Watch out for this guy." And these 2 girls were like, "Oh, do you guys have like this and that?" And I recognized his face. And I grabbed the 2 girls, and the guy was like, I was like, "Oh, I need the girls for a second." I grabbed the 2 girls, like closed the door. And I said to these girls, "How do you know this guy?" And they're like, "Oh, we just met him downstairs." I was like, "I'm not letting you girls go out here. He's a fucking predator." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "He works for Playboy." I'm like, "He doesn't work for Playboy. He's lying." And I showed him the post. It's like, look at this guy. Like, he's been posted on Twitter by all the sex workers. Like, he's gonna do something bad to you. And they were like, "Oh shit," you know? So like I like, opened the door and I was like, "You need to fucking leave," and we called the security and stuff. So that was scary as well because I was like, "Fuck, I need to like save these girls." But I am wary when I walk around that, you know, someone's gonna pop up and do something bad to me. But I try not make it control my life. So I do get a bit of social anxiety. Like I am always like watching my back, but I'm always kind of doing that, you know. Anyway, so.
That makes
sense. It can be like a bit stressful, but like I try not to let it control my life because I don't ever want to be one of those people where I'm like, "Oh, I can't leave the house because something bad's gonna happen to me." Like, that's my worst fear. I don't want to ever arrive to that point where I'm like, "I can't do this because this might happen to me." Like, no, you know.
Yeah.
Things are scary, you know. Anything can happen, but you shouldn't let it control your life, you know, because who knows? You might not do all these fun things because you're scared of dying, and then one day you could just be walking down the street and a fucking lightning bolt might just fucking strike you, and you might die like that.
True. Okay, so we have some questions from chat. This has been a lot of fun. So first one comes in from Sir Nate the Great. Did you get to work with tigers or elephants or horses? Those are my favorite animals.
Yeah, I worked with elephants. What else did I work with? Crocodiles, elephants, giraffe. I worked with tigers, but not very close with them. Who else? And hippos, rhinos, horses. A lot of exotic animals, yeah. I did.
What was your favorite exotic animal to work with?
Elephant, of course.
Elephant? Why is it the elephant?
It's my favorite animal. I love it. It's so big, you know?
Yeah.
It's so big and they have this fantastic memory. I don't know,
Are elephants nice?
What's about them? Yeah. They can be bitchy.
Okay.
I love elephants and I have one elephant who hates me.
Okay.
Hates my guts.
Well, how do you not get hated by an elephant? Is there a way?
I don't know. Okay, so this this elephant that hates me, her name is, it's funny enough, her name is Carla. So when I was a kid, we had these elephants. They were owned by my brother at the time, and they would run around the fields, you know. So like in England, we have these huge ass fields, so they can run around free all the time. And I would always see my brother like play football with them. So my brother would have a football there, and he would kick the ball, and they would kick it back. So one time I was walking by, I was like, "Hi, Carla. Hi, Raddy." And I see the football, and I kick it towards her. And this bitch looked at me. I swear to God, I've never seen an elephant look at me like that. And her ears started like flapping, and she started charging at me, like charging, like, and I fucking ran into like the trailer I had at the time. And this fucking elephant was banging into the trailer. And ever since then, she's never liked me. Every time she would see me, she tried to attack me.
Jesus
Maybe because I touched her football. I have no idea. And the funny thing, after this happened, 7 years later, I re-saw this elephant, and I was showing my ex at the time. I was like, "Oh, this elephant's so funny. She tried to kill me once, ha ha ha." This elephant, no fucking joke, grabs a piece of shit and throws it at me. No joke, Blake. He grabs a piece of shit from his own shit and threw it at me, landed on my leg. And I was like, this fucking bitch.
Oh,
this bitch. They have great memories. Like, she fucking remembers me. So, yeah.
Damn, okay.
I still love elephants, though.
That's fair. Another one from Sir Nate. Would you move to another country again for another guy?
If he's worth it, yes.
How do you know if someone's
he was worth it? Only time can tell.
Okay. What are some basic criteria that they have to have? Like
10-inch penis and money.
Oh, okay. Well, that is
no, I'm joking.
Some interesting basic requirements there. Sorry, Sir Nate, you're out of luck. Someone who just accepts me for me, and I accept them for who they are. Someone who makes me feel good. Someone who has ambition like me. Someone who will push me as well, and I can push them. I don't know, just it's hard. There's so many good things, and you know, obviously nobody is perfect, you know, so you can't be like, oh, I want this, and that. He have great ambition, but maybe I don't know, maybe he's a shitty liar. Who knows? No one's perfect, you know. Yeah, that's fair. Do you struggle sometimes finding relationships with your jobs? Is that something that has been a constant thing that gets brought up that's been an issue?
No, I don't date. Ever since my ex-boyfriend, I haven't really dated, so I haven't had that situation yet.
Okay. Is there any reason why you don't go out dating? Is there like just not worth the hassle?
I just don't have time. I'm always working.
Sure.
I don't know anyone here as well, so there's a few people I have crushes on, but they live all the way in America or live over China. You know, it was so far away. So
yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'm no point even like trying.
Yeah. So we had one coming from Joe. I don't know what WTG means. Hopefully it's an appropriate WTG. Is there any specific city or country you would like to live in?
So far, I would love to live either Vegas or Miami. Yeah.
I guess those are some interesting choices.
Yeah.
Why
Vegas?
I love
Vegas. Vegas is just like, there's always like, Vegas is like the capital of entertainment. Like, come on.
Okay.
You know, all the shows, all the stuff that's going on there. I just love it. When I go there, I kind of like feel like, wow, this is exciting. And Miami, I just love it. Miami because it's like a rich Latin America. It's like when I go to Miami, I feel like I'm in South America. You know?
Okay.
I love that. The heat, the people, the food, the atmosphere.
I've never been to Miami, but I want to go sometime. So.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, chat didn't ask any more questions, so I have one last question for you before we get out of here. Having had the experience being on my show, the first live show I would like to add, which is exciting. Some technical difficulties, but we worked those out. We're all smooth now. Having had the experience being on the show, if you could see anyone on the show, the only criteria is that they have to speak English because it's the only language I speak, and they have to be involved in the entertainment industry in some way. So that includes Twitch, includes YouTube, anything like that. If you could see anyone to be on the show, who would you like to see?
Ooh. You know what? Maybe that girl from Docs yesterday, Sammy.
I did not watch Docs yesterday, so
what's her name? Sammy Hart. She's like an actress and does Twitch as well. So she's really in the entertainment business.
Okay. That pancake looks delicious.
It is.
Thanks. I'm dieting, Quincy, and you're just eating a pancake. I appreciate it.
So am I, but I'm cheating today. Okay. Yeah, Sam Hanratty. Yeah, her.
Okay.
Sammy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Octopus.
She's a good choice.
So, that being said, this has been all I have for you. This is all of the questions that I have for you. If you want any shout-outs, you're more than welcome to have the shout-outs now. So if you want some, you can have them. Everyone should follow her channel if you're already not. I need to fix my shout-out command, but it is .tv/QuincyUK.
Yeah.
So.
_UK.
Oh, _UK. Yes, thank you.
Don't forget the underscore.
I did it naturally without thinking about it.
I hate the _UK. I can't wait to get rid of it.
Are you gonna get rid of it? When are you gonna get rid of it?
Well, hopefully when I'm partner.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that should be her link if I spelt everything right. So, do you have any other shout-outs you want to do? Otherwise, I'll close out the show.
No, I'm good.
Okay. For everyone out there,
having me.
Yeah, it's been fun. For everyone out there, this has been the Minds of Media. My name is Blake Panasiewicz, and until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. We're gonna get out of here.
Bye.